A retired teacher has just been awarded $95,000 from a school board after refusing to deceive parents about a student's gender. Pamela Rickard, 58, argued that school administrators had demanded she use students' preferred gender pronouns in classrooms, but avoid using those same terms when speaking to parents. This is unbelievable. Here's a letter from the lawyer representing Pamela Rickard. Kansas Public School pays $95K after suspending teacher for refusing to deceive parents. Again, this is absolutely huge news. If you've been watching this channel for some time, you'll know I've been covering similar stories in Canada that had a totally different fate, like the father of the transgender daughter who spoke out. He says, "I realized I handed my daughter over to the trans agenda after putting her in school." And this is just a man who was trying to protect his children from literal predators, from groomers who would like to bring sexual identity into the realm and the reality of a young child. And what ended up happening to him for speaking out against this? Well, that same BC father was jailed and is potentially facing 5 years for speaking out about his transitioning daughter. And this poor guy is still dealing with this to this day. I'm in contact with him all the time, and I'm going to update you about his case as it's continuously developing. Now, a lot of this, people will know, started from this. This is what got it like mainstream attention. Anyways, Bill C-16 back in 2016, an act to amend the Canadian Human Rights Act and Criminal Code. And of course, this is the amendment to the act that would essentially criminalize language, police the language of the Canadian people into forcing them into having to use preferred pronouns for transgender people. And famously, I'm sure you are already also well aware, U of T professor Jordan Peterson refused to use the preferred pronouns and may soon be breaking the law. This is again back in 2016. Professor Jordan Peterson is in hot water for daring to criticize and objecting to the Trudeau government's Bill C-16, which aims to make harassment and discrimination based on gender identity and gender expression a crime under the Human Rights Act and Criminal Code. In case you guys didn't know, I interviewed Dr. Jordan Peterson on the collectivist mindset, you know, following all this nonsense with Bill C-16. If you're interested in that, you can check it out. Links are going to be located in the description below. But all this nonsense has led to stuff like this. Nobody has time for this. Nobody. Time magazine is ridiculed for using er pronouns in a piece on a genderqueer author after judge ruled book is not too obscene for children. So er, I mean, yes, obviously nobody has any time for this. And not only that, but it's actually starting to turn around legally. I mean, there was this, you know, that backfired. Gender affirming care for transgender kids is going to backfire, according to experts. You may recall Kira Bell, this young lady who was convinced as a child that to deal with her gender dysphoria, she should transition into becoming a boy. Well, as reported here, in a groundbreaking win, a UK court ruled that it's now unlawful to prescribe puberty blockers to children. And this was a huge win. And I followed that up. With this groundbreaking win, Tavistock Transgender Clinic sued and shutting down. A good start, but not enough. And I put that out on August 18th, 2022. And here's why I said it's not enough, because just 10 days later, the Prime Minister of Canada launched Canada's first federal 2S LGBTQI+ action plan to continue building a more inclusive future with pride. No matter who you are or who you love, you should have every opportunity to succeed in Canada. The government of Canada has taken historic action in recent years to build a better, more inclusive future for two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and additional sexually and gender diverse people. And we know there is more to be done, according to the Canadian government. In fact, they're about to inject $100 million into this so-called historic action plan. guys. So we're going to talk about all of this in today's video and much, much more. But before we do, I really want to quickly just tell you about my friends at Patriot Gold Group, because I know you, the viewers at Press for Truth, are fully aware, just like I am, of what's coming down the pike in terms of the global planned destruction of the global economy. I mean, we see it in our daily lives right now with inflation just going through the roof. I know you can feel it at the grocery stores, you can feel it at the gas pumps. It's happening right now. But if you scale back on a bigger picture as opposed to what's happening to us personally, and you look at the bigger picture, I mean, you got China and Russia and India who are currently walking away from the dollar. They're not interested in this right now. The de-dollarization is happening. I've talked many times about the coming destruction of the global reserve currency known as the dollar, and it's not just inevitable anymore, it's happening right before our very eyes. I mean, just recently, Vladimir Putin announced that he's launching a global reserve currency that would literally rival the dollar. And this might be backed by gold. So it's no longer, can we say that this is inevitable? It's quite literally happening right now before our very eyes. The Biden administration is just printing money into oblivion. The Canadian government is doing similar things. It's happening all over the world. As I said, we can see this transpiring. And I know viewers of this channel are well aware that historically, precious metals like gold and silver hold up fantastically in times of high inflation. And it's always been a good hedge against these coming troubling times. And so, guys, if you call the number on the screen right now, 1-888-270-8670, this is a direct line for Press for Truth viewers, where you'll get connected to a free consultant. Not some automated system, not some AI robot, a real person who's going to help you figure all this out for free just by calling the number. Again, this is for preferred for PFT viewers. And if you happen to be an American viewer of mine, this is good news. These guys offer an IRA or a 401k that is backed by precious metals, literally backed by silver and gold. This is phenomenal. Even if you're not American, if you're one of my Canadian viewers or anyone else for that matter, these guys are highly reputable when it comes to international orders on precious metals. We're talking Consumer Affairs #1 rated company for 6 years in a row. This is like 5-star reviews on Google, the Better Business Bureau, you name it, top of the line, top-notch guys. So again, when you call that number on the screen, 1-888-270-8670, that is a direct line for preferred PFT viewers. Again, you're going to get connected to a free consultant. It costs you nothing to make the call today. And again, somebody's going to help you get set up for what, as I said, we know is inevitably coming down the pike. It's not just inevitable. It's happening right now before your very eyes, guys. So make the right move today before it's too late. Call that number on the screen. Get your free consultation today and let the guys at Patriot Gold Group help you get set up for what we said we know is coming down the pike. All right, guys. So I want to get into this. Obviously, the good news of the day: retired teacher awarded $95K from the school board after refusing to deceive parents about the student's gender. But before we get into the positive things that are happening in the United States, in particular here in Kansas, I want to show you some of the troubling things that we're dealing with here in Canada, because the two are very intertwined and connected. So let's just take a look at this. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, joined by the Minister for Women and Gender Equality and Youth, launched Canada's first federal 2S LGBTQI+ action plan, building our future with pride, a whole of government approach to achieve a future where everyone can be as truly free as they want to and love who they want to love. So, what does the action plan call for doing? Prioritize and sustain 2S LGBTQI+ community action. Okay, continue to advance and strengthen 2S LGBTQI+ rights at home and abroad. Support Indigenous LMNOP resilience and resurgence. Engage everyone in Canada in fostering a more inclusive future. Strengthening data and evidence-based policy making. embedded the elemental P issues into the work of the Canadian government. But here's where things get interesting, guys. I told you they're introducing $100 million into the budget over 5 years. And here's a breakdown of where the money's going to go. But here's some of their quick facts. And they talk about some of the things that the government has achieved so far in regards to this. The government of Canada has taken historic action in recent years to advance equality and create better opportunities for 2S LGBTQI+ Canadians, including, in 2016, Prime Minister appointed a special advisor on these issues, and shortly thereafter created what is now called the 2S LGBTQI+ Secretariat, with a mandate to provide the federal government with pathways to address historical and ongoing injustices and experiences. In 2017, the Canadian Human Rights Act and Criminal Code was updated to protect gender identity and gender expression. That's referring to Bill C-16, which we've already covered. Same year, the Prime Minister apologized to the House of Commons for systemic oppression against lesbian and gays and bisexuals and transgender, queer, and two-spirit. What is the Prime Minister doing apologizing for something that he didn't have anything to do with? And who is he apologizing to at the House of Commons? It just makes absolutely no sense. But here's one that kind of blew my mind. I totally forgot about this. In 2019, the government repealed anal intercourse, vagrancy, and body house offenses from the criminal code. So Justin Trudeau literally wanted to make brothels legal, vagrancy legal, and anal intercourse legal. Because before that, in case you didn't know, Section 159 of the criminal code currently says that anyone who engages in anal intercourse is guilty of an indictable offense, facing up to 10 years in prison, or an offense punishable on summary conviction. There are exceptions for heterosexual married couples and consenting adults of either sex over the age of 18, so long as there are only two of them and the activity takes place without anyone else in the room. The age of consent for heterosexual sex is 16 years of age, meaning that a common sexual act between a young gay couple is criminalized, while a different sexual act engaged in a straight couple at the same age is not. Yeah, that's because one of them is engaging in sodomy and the other is not, ladies and gentlemen. And in case you didn't know, according to the legal dictionary at freedictionary.com, and it's funny, they have a trigger warning here, the word sodomy acquired different meanings over time, but under the common law, sodomy consisted of anal intercourse. Traditionally, courts and statutes referred to it as a crime against nature, or as copulation against the order of nature. In the United States, the term eventually encompassed oral sex as well as anal sex, and the crime of sodomy was classified as a felony. And here in Canada, back just a couple of years ago, the Canadian government, changed that and made this legal, vagrancy legal, and brothels legal. Isn't that lovely? They also announced targeting programming for these communities. Also, they introduced the act to the criminal code for conversion therapy to become a law. This criminalizing this cruel, harmful, and degrading practice. And if you're not familiar with their criminal code against conversion therapy, check out my video here. New law bans conversion therapy for transgender children. What you need to know about Bill C-4. The Canadian government has passed the controversial Bill C-4, which is now becoming a law, prohibiting anyone from engaging in the broadly defined area of conversion therapy. That is, of course, unless you are a practice, treatment, or service that relates to a person's gender transition and that is not based on an assumption that a particular sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression is to be preferred over another. In that case, according to the Canadian government, that's totally okay. In this video, Dan Dicks of Press for Truth speaks with Billboard Chris, a father who is on a mission to inform the world about the dangers of puberty blockers and the dangers of forcing gender ideology onto children. They also discuss the passing of Bill C-4 and what that may soon mean for anyone who engages in what the government has defined as so-called conversion therapy. Really important piece for you guys to check out if you haven't seen it. But moving on to the really good news of the day. The Kansas public school who awarded $95,000 to a teacher after she refused to deceive parents. This is just awesome. A retired Kansas teacher has won $95,000 in a lawsuit against the county school district after they allegedly attempted to force her to mislead parents about a student's gender identity, according to reports. Pamela Rickard, 58, had argued that school administrators in Gary County School District had demanded that she use students' preferred gender pronouns in the classrooms, but avoid using those same terms when speaking to their parents. Rickard sued, arguing such deception was against her Christian beliefs. The district agreed to settle on Wednesday, and Rickard and her attorneys at the Alliance Defending Freedom withdrew the lawsuit. No school district should ever force teachers to willfully deceive parents or engage in any speech that violates their deeply held religious beliefs. We are pleased to settle this case favorably on behalf of Pam, and we hope that it will encourage school districts across the country to support the constitutionally protected freedom of teachers to teach and communicate honestly with both children and parents. Administrators at Fort Riley Middle School reprimanded and suspended Rickard back in 2021 after she refused referred to a transgender student by the student's legal name and pronouns. Nevertheless, they demanded that Rickard use that same legal name in any interactions with the student's parents, according to the ADF. The Gary County School District unsuccessfully tried to convince a federal court that a teacher should completely avoid using a child's name during a parent-teacher conference in order to hide new names and genders being used by the school for a child in the classroom. Absurdity and deception has its limits, especially in a federal court, he said. I'm glad the case clarifies the financial stakes for school boards if they attempt to force teachers to lie to parents about their students. Rickard retired from her teaching job in May, and the district school board rescinded its policy not long after Rickard filed her lawsuit, according to the report. Way to go, Pamela Rickard. You caused them to rescind their policy, and hopefully this kind of thing will create a ripple effect, that will lead to more of this, more victories like this, the Tavistock being shut down, and less actions by the Canadian government to do things like we have that we outlined that the Canadian government is already doing. So huge victory, guys, here. Chalk one up for the good guys today. Just wanted to bring all that to your attention. Once again, don't forget to check out my friends at Patriot Gold Group. Once again, just call the number on the screen. You're going to get connected to a free consultant who can help you get set up get properly aligned with the precious metal space moving forward, especially, as I said, what we know is coming down the pike is already happening right before our eyes. So don't forget to do that. Also, check the links in the description for all the sources to this video, whether you happen to be watching this on BitChute or Odyssey or maybe Rumble or maybe even YouTube. There, if you click more, you can go down and find all the sources to all of the information that I covered in today's video. So that's all for today, my friends. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button, share this video with your friends and family who you think need to see it the most, and stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming very soon. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.